Welcome to Coursera's Thought Leadership Series in association with ETHRWorld. Today, we're delving deep into a topic that's shaping and transforming the entire industry: GenAI in HR, transitioning from buzzword to essential workforce strategy. A very warm welcome to our audience and guests today. Let me introduce our industry leaders who have kindly given us their time. Kashish Kapoor, VP Human Resources, NEC Corporation India, and Arushee Aggarwal, Head of Coursera for Business India. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent to have you here. Now, as digital transformation accelerates, the adoption of Gen AI in HR has shifted from experiment to imperative. This session examines how Gen AI is reshaping key functions from hiring and engagement to performance and learning. Our industry leaders will share insights into its practical deployment, emerging risks, and governance strategies. The focus: building a more agile, resilient workforce fit for the AI era. My first question, I'll take it across to Kashish. How is Gen AI being leveraged in various HR functions such as recruitment, onboarding, and employee engagement in your experience? And can you also share specific examples where you think it's made a significant impact?
Yeah, I think let me just start by saying, because there is this whole conversation around one of the most trending topics. So thank you so much, ET, for taking this as the topic for conversation, because this is so very central and pivotal to the way we are experiencing the whole people centricity and the whole talent approach nowadays. But AI is here to support the human decisions. If you look at the whole, the entire way it is evolving and where we have reached so far in the whole interaction and engagement with AI, it is not here to replace the human judgment or the empathy that HR has as it's at its core, as it's at its DNA. So that is not getting replaced. It's a partner, and we are going to be partnering with us. It is bringing in, and we are witnessing this to a large extent, the kind of efficiency it is bringing in, the way, roles are evolving, organizations are are achieving huge milestones. So there is the impact, if I were to list that out, in terms of what kind of impact it is creating, it is, look at the whole recruitment and the number of interventions that AI has brought in, from bringing down the hiring time from 30, almost a 30 to 40% reduction in the hiring time. The biases getting, sidelined, where we spend, we used to spend so many man months, so many hours, so much, concentrated effort to ensure that there is no bias that comes in. This has made that life so much easier by, removing the biases, the complete bias frame. The onboarding satisfaction. Remember from a day and time when we used to get thick onboarding dockets, and we had to fill up those dockets, and the onboarding used to be almost about a 2-3 day kind of an activity. That has substantially improved with this intervention. Now we are talking about a 25% improvement in the onboarding experience, which literally translates into how the organizations are creating that employee experience page for their employees, which is a big bookmark for employee centricity, for people centricity, and the value of time and utilization and productivity. The real-time predictive engagement tracking that we are able to do today, where we don't have to depend upon pulse and engagement surveys. It is real time. That brings HR much closer to the employees and to their talent and workforce. There is no periodicity now to me to know how is my organization reacting, how are the people in the organization feeling. It's a real-time touch point that AI has helped me bring on board, and therefore the empathy factor has become much more. It's look at the whole learning space and how it's evolving. It is more personalized. They don't have to be solutions which are standardized for a certain set of people. It can be driven by an individual customized version, adaptive to the pace, the adoption that individual has towards it, to drive not only to drive not only the output from a learning perspective, but also look at it from a well-being perspective. It's we are mastering the art of pacing things out gradually by tailoring solutions to individuals. And therefore, there is a higher inclusivity in the language, in the way we are looking at bringing in, driving innovation through an inclusive approach, and a much, much more agile decision making that we as HR are today taking. And I think I can take the liberty of saying that somewhere AI has helped HR get a much more critical seat at the table today. So I think it's a great partner, it's a great handshake.
Well, yes, it's absolutely true what you said, how AI will never be replacing the human touch, but it has greatly enhanced it and it has a place at the table today. So I'll take it across to Arushi. Kashish had mentioned the sort of personalization that Gen AI is bringing. So, in what ways do you think Gen AI can enhance the personalization of employee experiences and improve overall efficiency in HR operations? And what are some of the best practices for implementing these AI driven solutions effectively?
Wonderful. And Kashish, I loved how you started with sharing how this is augmenting and not replacing, and is actually making everything better today from a data perspective, from a decision-making perspective, right? So I absolutely echo that. And, Shilpa, to the question that you have asked around how can this augment at a employee level as well? As a HR tech and learning organization, what we endeavor to provide to our customers and to our partners is the ability for employees to be able to see career growth through skilling and to be able to achieve their full potential. And the way we have really kind of evolved as an organization, incidentally, Coursera was founded by two Stanford AI professors back in 2012. So AI has really been at the center of everything that we do from a platform development perspective. And one of the key things that we have been able to do through Gen AI and AI in general is provide personalized learning to the learners through the power of AI. And we've done that in two ways. The first is, while high quality learning is only possible through asynchronous methods, because you'll never have one tutor being able to go to millions of learners, but then the ability to have real-time Q&A, real-time summarization, a thoughtful discussion, having AI as a thought partner. That is something we've introduced through a tool called Coursera Coach, where an individual, let's say they are learning, in the middle of the day, in the evening, whenever they are, this is actually providing a dialogue to them. So that's what we have done. That's the first. And the second is, while English is the business language, a lot of people interact with their customers and are proficient in regional languages. So through machine translations, we have actually taken our top courses and had those translated through subtitles and through the entire environment to more than 10 Indian languages and to a number of global languages as well. And here we have found the learning effectiveness to be very, very great. So I think the personalization part, which was something that was an aspiration for all organizations, is something that GenAI has unlocked through these two mechanisms. And then, of course, giving people the opportunity to create use cases using the power of GenAI. We spoke about how 30% increase in productivity, even from a hiring and a talent management perspective, has happened because of the data and insights being so quick, and the use cases in the HR part of the world as well having increased. So we feel like it's just the beginning, and there are so many other use cases that will continue to get developed as we go forward.
Well, you're right. It's just the beginning, but already there are numerous benefits that GenAI is bringing. But like with every emergent technology, there are some challenges. So I'll go to Kashish to ask her what are some of the key challenges and ethical considerations that organizations need to address when integrating GenAI into their HR practices, and how can HR leaders ensure fairness and mitigate bias in an AI-driven world?
I think one, we approach the whole AI piece with a lot of caution, rather than just over enthusiasm, because I think it's the adoption is very customized to the way every organization is modeled. So I think that's one. Uh, there can be like anything, there are multiple challenges that we need to be very careful about and cautious when we do them. They are the AI is driven on data that on trained data. So it is good parenting. It is almost like bringing up a child. So it is what we invest in from a good parenting of that AI tool, that will give us a good, well shaped adult version of what we want to achieve. So I think, and that may perpetuate, Gen AI has a capability to perpetuate biases or discriminatory practices if that's what the input we are giving in. So that is, I think, that is a word of caution. So all these years, the kind of work that we have done to get rid of biases, to have non-discriminatory and more inclusive practices, I think just translating into the way this we are feeding in the data and we are bringing up this, we are maturing the tool. I think that's important. Transparency and explainability is very, very, very critical. Many AI models, if you read about it, are operate as black boxes. That becomes dangerous for us, because what we are trying, we may not understand how we are taking decisions. So therefore they need to be, the explainability factor behind the tool is very important. And so what is the intent and what is the objective, and why and how is it designed to deliver that? So I think that portion again is very, very critical and important for us. The privacy and data protection today, that is, I think, something that all of us are very cautious about, and we are treading it very carefully. We need to ensure that confidential, sensitive information continues to be confidential and sensitive, and we continue to follow the guidelines and compliances that are there around data privacy. Not something that we would intentionally want to breach, and not something that should even unintentionally get breached. So that is another cautious thing. Then the mishandling of sensitive data, which can lead to GDPR violations, the lawsuits, or any other legal implications that can come to an organization. I think so. The risk attached to that is something we need to be very, very careful about. Then again, because it is driven by whatever is the input, and therefore the autonomy and the consensus in its usage, in its implementation, also becomes very important for us to keep our eyes and our focus on, to ensure that it is not something which is violating any of the guidelines that organizations may have around that, be it directly or indirectly, with respect to any stakeholder, because that can cause a lot of issues. So maybe something that we will have to start thinking about and bringing in, and maybe I'm like, preempting some of this, will be some of the audits that will start happening around the AI pieces. We don't have that right now, but some of those good practices we need to start imbibing in, and breeding at this stage itself, so that we are developing something which also understands audits, controls, governance. And it is not out of scope for that. So I think it is not that scary. It's just that it's not intimidating with whatever I said. It's just that it is always good to be cautious when we move ahead in this journey, because AI is something which is going to help us humanize business with the right data, with the right touch points, with the right efficiency. So if you look at it that as a partner, and we look at the right controls and the governance mechanism there, I think it's a good space to be in.
Well, that is a very nuanced and yet detailed elaboration there. Thank you so much, Kashish, for that. And as you mentioned, there need to be guardrails there, because any adoption is only as successful as the guardrails we put in place. But AI is definitely here to stay. So, Arushi, how do you foresee the role of Gen AI evolving in HR over the next, say, 5 years? And what trends should HR leaders be aware of to stay ahead of the curve and ensure that their workforce remains adaptable and future ready?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, maybe I'll take some examples of what I have seen already implemented, just to kind of make it real. So I think Kashish has already shared how this needs to be a partner on the data side, and the biases are important for us to note that, these should not creep in. So what we have observed is, for example, there are often these questions or queries which are standard answers, which a lot of HR professionals get from within the organization. Is there a query tool that can be created out of the handbook and the knowledge, which might run pages and an employee can't look at that, but an AI can become a smart query mechanism to actually be able to answer what we call the L1 level of the problems, right? So we feel like that's one area where this will certainly support. And more broadly, in one of the talks that our founder Andrew Ng gave, he said you can think of AI as an employee who is a college graduate and has no subject matter expertise or no background about this topic, but has the ability to learn really fast. So, what we feel is at the end of the day, the productivity of the repeatable tasks that an individual may be doing can get faster and more efficient through the power of Gen AI at the individual level, and then harnessing this at the functional level and at the organization level can then free up their time from a productivity perspective. So, given the HR function is so important from an inclusivity and from a belongingness perspective of every employee, everything which was a repeatable task or more of a desk job can get more and more supported through these large language models. And then, the core of what a human being can do and a machine cannot do, there can be more and more time freed up for the same. So that is where we really feel Gen AI can get unlocked from an overall perspective. If I were to give an example from a learning perspective, which is something that we engage in day in and day out, we've said that let's make a tool which will make it easy for learning leaders, and we're calling it Course Builder, where we are saying that it takes hours for a design expert and a content expert to create content which is both contextual to the organization and relevant to the subject matter that is required. But given our experience with 165 million learners and various topics, is there a way that a learning leader can just enter their query? This is the topic that we want to train our employees on. This is the length of the module. This is my own private content that I want uploaded in a secure environment. These are the assessments and the modules that the learner should be able to have access to. And within 10 to 20 minutes, something gets created for them, which they can then play around with and edit. So, really, it is about productivity gains in every single function and then making it very, very easy where the same queries don't need to be uploaded again and again. So that is where we see a lot of unlock, and everyone will have time to do their core roles better in terms of what their day-to-day responsibilities are.
Yes, absolutely. The automation is undeniable, and also the fact that we can now bring more to the table and have more efficient value addition in our tasks. Now, my closing question to both our leaders, I'll come across to you, Kashish. What steps should HR leaders take today to prepare their organizations for a future where Gen AI is deeply integrated into every aspect of HR? And how can they build a culture of continuous learning and innovation to support this transition? Already, Arushee mentioned the asynchronous learning part, and that's so true.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of things that Arushee said resonate, with me as well. I think, let's look at the cultural part of what AI, how do we create that roadmap from a cultural aspect along with AI? So it is about moving the mind shift, making a mind shift change from control to curiosity. Uh, let we should encourage people to test, experiment, learn, through hackathons, through projects, through Gen AI sandboxes, so that we are understanding and familiarizing ourselves with the environment and its applicability in our own conditions and ecosystems, rather than just blindly going and adopting, what is available, because it is not going to be one size fits all. Is not going to be what will happen with Gen AI. And I think the biggest advantage of Gen AI is the huge spectrum of customization that it provides to you. And there is no, I don't think we'll ever reach a stage of perfection with Gen AI. So the mindset shift of perfection to progress, because it is continuously going to evolve. There will never be a time when I say, okay, I have reached, this is the perfect stage. And I think that hunger for more, the whole journey of evolution, be it in terms of the iterations, the learnings, the skill sets that will continue to evolve, the roles that will change, the business models that will keep adapting and innovating themselves. So I think it's going to be and this is a journey that will get complemented by Gen AI. Then it also opens up a lot of space for us culturally to move from silos to cross-collaborating, cross-functional learnings, because roles today are changing. There are going to be more cross-functional roles. Skills are going to be more integrated into each other. And therefore, that is something that should be a part of the roadmap, for all of us in HR to craft when we are looking at our own environments of talent and talent spaces. And I think the most important thing for all of us would be, I feel, is moving from fear to the mastery of AI. Today, there is just so much of scare about it. There is a lot of over enthusiasm. There is a lot of fear about it. I think we just need to let ourselves be, to experience what it is, and not go in with preconditioned nuances that this is going to take away jobs, this is going to make my role redundant. That's not that. It's just going to provoke more learning and more self-investment, also for professionals, as organizations continue to grow in this. So I think HR leaders would need to lead with a lot of vision, with a lot of empathy, and with a very critical strategic business enabler mindset to bring AI environmentally, culturally, as well as operationally into the organization.
Thank you so much for that, Kashish. Yes, all those factors you mentioned there are absolutely essential to have a change mindset in the organization and among the employees, of course. Now, I'll take Arushee's perspective on this, on what steps should HR leaders be taking today to prepare their organizations for an AI-ready future.
Absolutely. And I love the word change. What I love to say is that there are two things constant, which is change and learning. It's quite ironic that, change is something that we have to always adapt to, and learning is what gets us there. So I think what will be important from a future ready perspective is one, to understand how AI and Gen AI fits in the organizational context at a strategy level. It is important for the leadership to be able to really articulate how this is important for the entire organization, for various functions. From there, for the functional leaders to take the responsibility of how this is applicable to their functions, but also for the individuals to take the initiative to come up with various use cases from a bottom up perspective, which will really unlock all of the possibilities, and for all of this to happen in the safe environment of the organization's technology. So that is what I think is going to be critical for this to not just, as we have in the title of our discussion today, moving from actually being a buzzword to something practical and on ground that can be implemented. So I think now harnessing this productivity, which is a potential, is becoming more and more important, and showing the outcomes and then taking from there is going to be quite important. And both top down and bottom up will have to come together for this to really work. So, quite excited about the possibilities of what we can do from here.
Possibilities are indeed endless. And on that very hopeful and futuristic outlook, we will be wrapping up this session. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kashish and Arushee. And as we stand on the brink of a Gen AI driven transformation in HR, the time to act is now. Building a culture of continuous learning, ethical vigilance, and innovation will be critical to navigating this shift successfully. The future of HR belongs to those who lead with both technology and the human touch at the core. Thanks once again to our wonderful speakers and our audience. Do stay tuned to our Thought Leadership series. Thank you so much. That went off very well. And now the ET team will exit the room. So, Kashish, you and Arushee can have a closed room discussion. And thanks once again for connecting with us. We'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you, Shilpa.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Thanks,
Shilpa.
Arushee.
Thanks, Ragini. Thanks, Madan.